Hey, hope everyone is hanging in there in the multi-week sequestering that all of us are um, working through and for making sense of what's happening right now. This topic that I'm going to speak to is close to the heart for me with regards to teaching. So I have kind of touched on it in a couple previous videos where now that schools are closed, parents are taking on the role of educating our children, and you don't really realize how much you place expectations in the system taking on certain parts of the education of your children than when you are put on the hot seat with no notice. So, this is interesting for me because the topic I really want to get into is the disconnect between the concept of teaching and the concept of coaching or mentoring. So, with teaching, I was very surprised by how difficult I find it. And I have always said in my 21 years of having and raising children that I could never do that job. I'm so thankful for teachers. I can't believe there are people on this planet that choose to, you know, invest their money into getting an education in order to, bring the next generation of young people up and be successful in the world. I give them so much gratitude over that skill set. And it really hit close to home when I am in the situation of going to be a teacher. Now, we can all say, yeah, we don't have lesson plans. We don't know what we're doing. There is a there's a lot of prep work that's involved that teachers understand and part of their, schedule and all of that. And when you don't have that in place, it's difficult to just kind of pick up and run and have your kid hopefully be somewhat successful in this ambiguous time. But what really hit me was it showed a definite weakness in myself on how I have a difficulty in trying to relay tangible things, say math or English or things like that, where I'm trying to get an end result for that child. So when we learn this, the assumption would be a light would turn on where they're understanding and they are able to slowly, successfully navigate that new skill set for themselves. And it's very humbling, I guess, to realize that just don't have the tools in the toolkit to be able to live to the level that I want to be in, able to support my child while they're trying to make sense of this uncertain situation on top of trying to make sense of this new lack of teaching style. Yeah, it is a very difficult thing. So I found that especially interesting when the other side of, say, education or working with people is maybe the coaching or mentoring side. And that's a part of my skill set that is just something that kind of came along in a natural progression where when certain people are interested in learning something and they're inquisitive and they want to like learn something about themselves, it is a symbiotic relationship that is um, able to kind of put ideas out there for the other person to chew on and see if they make sense, and maybe allow a different area for inquiry for themselves, and they can take it or leave it. So I guess the big thing is the whole idea of the mutual interest in what's happening. As a mentor, usually you're the one that someone is approaching to talk about certain things that they're having concerns about, and you're working with them on providing some questions or some dialogue, open-ended dialogue that they can kind of dive into to help with navigating and applying what they have in their own lives. Because in a mentorship situation, it's not like they're going to come and tell you every detail about their lives, and they don't need to. However, then in the teaching side of things, you are faced with the uphill battle of them not caring necessarily if they learn. You don't have necessarily the ability of sitting and trying to conceptualize different ways to make something make sense to a 7-year-old within a quick 15-minute time span, because that's how long their attention lasts. And so therefore it's the lack of interest on the one side and the frustration on the other of me tends to be a difficult thing. One thing I did notice in the last couple of weeks, after we've kind of gotten into a bit more of a understanding between my child and I on doing this at-home learning, is more of understanding the flow and dynamic of the child, the student, and being able to work with that, being able to understand where frustrations might flare up, and building a level of trust, I guess, with that. Even if it is your own child, it's still, they don't necessarily see you as, you know, the teacher that they can trust, knowing that you know what you're talking about, because that's quite rightly so. Lots of times we might not, depending on the grade that your child's in. So anyways, love to hear what other people's thoughts are on that. Love to hear if there's a lot of INTJ teachers out there, and how you feel about the whole teaching side of thing. I think that mentorship might come a little bit potentially easier, but I could be wrong. I could be just speculating. But anyways, love to hear everyone's thoughts. As always, video requests just in the comment section, and thanks so much.